At 6 o'clock, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. First item will be roll.
Brown,
Here.
Cox,
Here.
Davis, Gerke,
Here.
Gray,
Here.
Neal.
Here. Next item, will be pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll take a moment of silence now for next item will be a motion to approve the agenda. There's a couple of changes. We'll move the CD maturity discussion up to after public comment. And then item C, under unfinished business, Roy wants to talk about some bids for the those changes. I would take agenda.
So move. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Everyone's had a chance to look at the previous minutes or the additions or corrections. If not, they'll stand approved as presented. Katie, would you like to announce the visitors, please?
We have Dr. Gus here with us today and Brett Hudson and Central.
Thank you. The life-saving award recipient had to go out on the call, so we'll have to do that at a later date. So there was no public comment sent in, so we'll go on with the CD maturity discussion.
So we've got a couple of CDs that are maturing. One matured yesterday. That one was 350,000, the original issue value. And then we have another one maturing on 6/5. That was the original issue value of 245,000. So we've got Brett Hudson here from Central Bank to talk about another option. As far as CDs, we have the rates on page 31 from Central Bank for the certificates of deposit. And then from Wood Houston, the rate they quoted was 0.86 for 11-month CDs. If we renew those.
Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. My name is Brett Hudson. I'm a financial advisor at Central Bank, Central Investment Advisors. I help individuals and businesses with their financial goals. The bank brought this to my attention that you were looking for a potentially better rate than what is being offered right now on the CD side. So a couple pieces of information on the left side of your folder here. Just some general information. First chart is savings accounts. It's not just Sedalia, Missouri that has low rates, it's across the country. Person with $100,000 sitting in a savings account or an entity with $100,000 in a savings account back in the year 2000 might have yielded 6%, $6,000 return on their investment. Fast forward to today, average savings account in our country is going to yield somebody $80 with a $100,000 balance over the course of a year. Pretty sharp contrast from where we used to be. Next page is inflation. Inflation, we're all dealing with it right now. Price at the pump. Cost rising around us. Year over year rose at 8.5%. Pretty significant, pretty staggering inflation numbers. Next page is Fed funds rate, the Federal Reserve, independent part of our government. Their job is to slow the economy during boom times and to increase productivity in the economy in the bad times. So looking at rates today, the Fed raised rates 0.5% a couple weeks ago. The expectation is that rates are going to rise pretty dramatically over the next couple of years. So good thing for those who have cash on the sidelines, hopefully going to get a better return as time goes on. Next page is rates of treasuries, government bonds. Our gray line shows us December 31st of last year. If a person wanted to buy a 1-year government bond, their rate was going to be 0.39%. Fast forward to this printing, April 30th, 1-year government bond as of that date yielded 2.10%. So a drastic change in yields over that short period of time. Reason for the drastic change is the bond market is forward-looking, and the bond market is expecting that the Fed's going to raise interest rates. And because the bond market is forward-looking, you can see the sharp increase in short-term rates. Looking out to long-term rates, person can get a 30-year government bond, 2.96%. If I'm a financial advisor, I think I'd rather go with the shorter term, not the longer term. And the reason that those long-term rates haven't increased is the bond market feels like, yes, there's inflation. That inflation's going to taper off as the Fed raises rates. And so the market doesn't expect for rates to continue to increase to 3, 4, 5, 6% and more. So any questions thus far? All right, right side of our folder now, and just that first page is the important one. If we flip that page over to the back, we're now looking at should be looking at something like this. Bank goes out of business. Banks are covered by FDIC up to FDIC limits. What's FDIC? It's a protection that was put in place after the Great Depression when banks failed. FDIC is our federal government, full faith and credit of the federal government. So government bonds in the United States, as safe as it gets. Looking, I know that talking to Jamie, potentially 1-year term might be what we're looking at as far as rates go. So I gave a few different options. I gave an option that matures in April of next year, March of next year, February of next year. And the important column here is YTM, yield to maturity. Person buys a bond, the day that they buy it, they know exactly what their return is going to be when held to maturity. Unlike CDs, bonds fluctuate in value throughout the term, but when held to the end of the term, again, there's no question, you know exactly what you're going to get. So 1.8% on the April maturity, 1.7 on the March maturity, 1.6 on the February maturity. Bonds are also different than CDs in the fact that they can trade for a premium or discount. A bond is valued at $1,000 upon maturity, or these bonds are. So the Pettis County Ambulance District buys bonds. Again, the day that you buy them, you know exactly what you're going to get. You won't know exactly what the rate is until the day that the bonds are purchased. There's no cost To do so, the cost is built in. Bonds are sold on a wholesale basis, and then the Pettis County Ambulance District is buying them on a retail basis. So again, 1.8%, not extremely exciting, but it's more exciting than a CD in today's environment. Any questions for me? Any comments?
Is there anything any shorter than that 1 year?
There is, yeah. I mean, a person could, yes, there's flexibility to be as short as the person wanted to as far as maturity goes.
What's likely to change in 90 days?
That's a good question. Depends on market conditions. So going back to this chart was a really drastic change. It's a change that has only happened a couple of times in anyone's lifetime in this room. So I don't foresee anything like that happening.
So what happened the last time that happened?
As far as,
This change, what was the outcome?
well, from a rate perspective.
Thinking in 1984, 85, when I bought my house, I had to pay 11.5% interest. Was that after one of those things that we haven't seen happen very often?
It wasn't, but during that period, the Fed was working on doing the same thing, slowing down inflation. Great question.
And then the question for us, is there any, if we lock this money up for 90 days or a year, what is the chance we're gonna need it?
No, we should be good for, we've got 6 months cash, almost 6 months cash. Checking account, so we should be fine to lock that up, even though, I mean, I think we foresee doing something with this money. I think we have enough cash to be able to wait until this matures.
So question for you then, Brett. If it were you, would you lock it up for a year or would you do 90 days 4 times?
A few weeks ago, I would have said 2 years is what I would have locked it up for. Said that looking at needs of the organization, and when I look at this chart, I would say a year, because again, it's already priced in that rates are going to rise significantly. If that doesn't play out, I think that there's more downside risk to rates than there is upside potential in the short term.
You mean it's more likely to not go up as much as people are thinking, or not as likely to stay as low as people?
Well, because these bond rates have already increased, expecting the Fed to continue to raise rates, there's not in my opinion, there's not a chance that the Fed's going to raise rates a whole lot more than what they've already stated.
Okay.
And again, looking at this page, today you're getting a rate of what potentially the rates might be a year from now or 2 years from now.
We get the biggest chunk for the shortest period.
That's right. That's right.
And the likelihood of needing that money changes in our next 90 days, our next 6 months, the
I
decision
would
of
say-
when that would be needed.
I mean, it all depends on when we start building that building, when we find someplace to be. But I would say 6 months at the earliest that we'll need any of that money.
So turning it around, would locking this money up for a year affect our timetable? Well, I don't see why we would go for a year.
Is there a penalty if we need that money?
If there's a chance that you're going to need money, my suggestion would be ladder it and put some in a shorter maturity and then some in a longer maturity. If there's a chance of needing money. Bonds, again, they trade on the open market, so they could be bought or sold any day. But the price that you sell them at prior to maturity has to do with whether interest rates have went up or went down over that period, how attractive they are to buyers in the market.
And if we bought them, rates didn't go up as much as they said they were going to go up, they would be attractive bonds for sale.
That's right. Exciting stuff, guys.
So I did check with Frank to make sure we were good to do this. So you guys chose to do that. We're good to do that, and our resolution for investing that was put in place in 2014 covers this as well. So we're good there. And you guys would just need to decide if you want to redeem these 2 CDs that we have coming due. One actually matured yesterday, and like I said, the other one's 6/5. So if you guys decide to redeem those, then we can go from there, getting everything set up.
Redeeming, what?
Cash
Amount.
Instead of renewing them.
Renewing them would be for the rate that we bought them at, is that right? Or
Renewing them will be at 0.86, which is almost 1 percentage point lower than
That's not
these
a good.
bonds. No,
But if we were to ladder them, we could, say, take one of them and put it in at 6 months and the other one in a year.
That's
And
correct.
that would free up part of that money. That
Yeah.
might be the most flexible way to go.
And then I don't foresee a time in the next 6 months where CD rates have increased dramatically to be competitive with these type of rates. And so 6 months from now, if you do ladder it out, then you'll know that, again, money's maturing and you can get another 6 months if the money's not
Well,
going
if you throw another year on that one, and use the other one.
That's
6 months
right.
ahead. That sounds. Now, when we do that, though, these 2 CDs are not equal in value.
no. One's 350,000 and
Which one
is,
matured early?
the first one is the $350,000.
Okay, so if we put that in at 6 months, we'd have the lion's share. Carry the other one for a year and then reinvest it for 6 months. Maybe.
And this is,
I'm no
this
genius.
is individual $1,000 bonds. 50,000.
Correct.
350.
Do you- Do you know what the interest rate is for the shorter term?
I don't know. Over 1% on 6 months, but to give an exact, I'd have to get back to you on specifics
Over 1% per year, over 6 months.
on an annualized.
On an annual.
Yeah.
So all 6 months.
Uh-huh.
Well, the year is 1.8.
Well, something to think about. How soon you need an answer?
All right, I'm on your time. So no rush on my side. What we would need to know is who's gonna have signing capacity for the account, and then grab some signatures and be ready to go.
So we are on a timetable on the maturity though.
You
To
10
decide.
days, right?
Yes, we have 10 days on this one and the other one doesn't mature till 6/5. So we do need to decide if you want to redeem, yes, redeem the bonds. That's the only thing that's on a timetable. And then if you wouldn't mind getting the rates maybe for the 6 months and then
Yeah.
we can decide that maybe next time.
Does that happen before the next meeting or is it?
Yeah, the next meeting's not till what,
10
6/14?
days from now, be June 3rd, and then next meeting will be the 14th.
Yeah. So the next one matures.
I'm sorry, we need to make a decision on the one that's already matured though, didn't you say that?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it'd be good if we could just make a decision on both of them because before the next meeting, the second one's gonna mature.
So.
And then we have another one that will mature in September. That's 350,000 as well.
Okay.
So do we have a motion?
I'm thinking, I'm trying to refer to this now, if we locked up the 350 for a whole year, and then in June 5th, we're gonna need money for that. Put that in 6 months, we would get the smaller part after 6 months. But surely, we don't have to pay up front for all that stuff.
No, it'll be as you go.
Maybe that would be
So,
the way to go. Lock up the bigger interest with the bigger money right now. And then by June 5th, see what the rate then we change.
Yep, and then by September as well. So
Put that in the motion.
Okay. I move that we invest the CD maturing what date?
Yes,
523.
5/23 into a 1-year bond purchase.
Other CD. or-
We have to make that decision now too.
Yeah.
And the other CD into a 6-month bond purchase.
assuming the interest rate is over 1%, which
Yeah, you could just vote to redeem it and then make. a
Yeah, we're just
decision.
about to redeem it. Because we'll have 10 days from then, we take it past the next meeting.
So your motion was to redeem both CDs and invest 350,000 in the treasury notes.
Yes,
For 1 year.
one.
for 1 year.
Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye. All opposed, same sign.
How did you send over the stuff for the signers?
Sounds great.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks, Brett.
Building a new building sounds a lot more fun.
On to the officers report, chief's report.
All right. Don't have much for the board tonight. Except for some HIPAA training after the board meeting is done. So I'll keep this part short and sweet. Mostly, as far as I don't know if everybody's ever had time to read the written report. The overhead doors of the HQ have been repaired. No other pending updates as far as that goes. Mainly what I want to mention tonight was our battalion chief, Flo Hammer, and his efforts to make our EMS week, as well as all our sponsors, the people who donated, just an awesome success. So I just want to publicly thank everybody who was involved in that, as well as Mr. Hammer's efforts to get that done for us. It was a really good year. He did a great job, as well as the community that stepped up and really made it work for us. So thanks to all them, and thanks to the board of directors and cattlemen's associations. There's a whole bunch of people who donated to this. I can't thank them all, but we put them up on a billboard, I know. So, and we're sending out thank you cards and all that. So great week. Just want to make sure that our thanks for that. Education just continues, is mostly we've already talked about. Last meeting, we're doing a pre-hospital trauma life support, some sexual harassment training online right now, and no current purchases or contracts. About the only thing is I do have 2 paramedic openings. They were listed. I have 2 paramedics. Now this includes the one I told the board about prior. Unfortunately, I do have 2 medics going to PRN position. They are both staying on PRN, which is a good thing. So no real issues other than other job offers or going closer to home there. So we are going to have to put out for some full-time medic spots. Other than that, that's all I have for this evening.
Eric, refresh my mind on this PRN.
As needed, PRN is just, it's fancy way of saying part-time.
Part-time
Yeah.
registered nurse.
No, paramedics. No,
I don't
PRN is, I
It's a
don't know,
Latin
I
term.
can't tell you what it stands for off the top of my head. If you take a medication PRN, it literally means as needed, so.
Okay.
We'll
just
semantics. You can call it part-time.
Like an aspirin.
Exactly. You got it.
Okay, I'm just trying to get my.
I will look that definition up.
Pro Ray Nata.
Growing up, yeah.
Question for Eric.
I guess some of the difference might lie. PRN people are required to go to so many open days a month. We're not required to staff them those days. They just give us days available, and if we have openings, they work them. Whereas part-time is generally considered a schedule just to keep under the ACA requirements for benefits and so forth. So that would be.
You generally use them fully.
Part-time paramedics or PRN paramedics, I want to say it, they're kind of rare these days. Most people are sticking around at one job and not doing a lot of traveling. But yeah, they definitely use. luckily on most shifts, I believe 2 out of 3 of our shifts, we have medics on double medic trucks. So if we do need to split them, paramedic, we can split them up and still have an ALS unit. That's not the case now, but we're going to be short on one shift. That option. So,
Are there any other questions? We'll move on for CFO report.
Start on page 5 with our sales tax receipts. For the month of May, we received $249,464.73, which was down from last May, almost 9%. Year over year, we're up 6%, about $81,495. So still up year over year. I think some of the differences, if you kind of look, is some timing. March was the end of the quarter. It used to be due before the end of the quarter. Now they've changed the due date. So I think that's kind of rolled some stuff to the next month. So I'm kind of seeing that happening here where it's up one month, down the next because of the timing, I think. So
But the year over year is a true read.
any questions on sales tax? Page 6 is the budget performance year to date. You can see there our operating revenue is up about 18% over year to date budget. A lot of that comes from that provider relief fund payment we received early in the year, but also our sales tax revenues being up and our service fees. So overall, that's looking good. As far as expenses, we've just got a couple that are over budget year to date, repairs and maintenance and utilities. But overall, our total operating expenses are below budget. So everything looks good there. Any questions on that one? Pages 7 through 9 are the details of that and our overall budget performance for the annual budget. So we should be about a third of the way through the budget here. So again, the same thing. You can see that we're over budget 11% from where we should be year to date. And I just kind of highlighted our ambulance and vehicle fuel was kind of right on target there at 32.98%. I think that's going to go over budget this next coming month, but so far we're sitting right at where we should be on ambulance and vehicle fuel and as well as maintenance. Total payroll expense, just slightly above where we should be, but April had 3 payrolls, so that's part of that. I think that'll level out after that. And then our training material, that is over budget, and that's going to continue to be over budget. We're going to probably have to amend for that, but overall, total training is under budget. And utilities, our gas is what's still hitting us hard. So we're about to be done using a lot of gas for the summer, so hopefully that'll level out a little bit, but we're just about at budget for the year so far. So any questions on any of those details?
Just one.
Sure.
The rent expense, the ice machine and the water softener. Why do we not own our own ice machine?
So, I mean, I believe it's because of the maintenance that they perform. We'd be paying the same amount for them to come to the maintenance as it is to rent the machine.
Really?
Because they come, I don't know how often.
Same with the water softener then?
Yeah, they come every couple of weeks on the water softener, make sure they're salt, do all the things with the water softener.
So they provide this equipment in exchange for the contract service.
So we'll buy the
couldn't
salt.
do the service.
Right, and for the ice or for the water softener, then we buy the salt from them as well.
It's not like we don't have somebody standing around that could put salt. All right, all right.
Yeah, they do other things with it. They
Yeah.
test the water and
Right.
do things.
Just ask.
Any other questions? Page 10 is the balance sheet this year versus last year as of April 30th. Any questions on any of that? Page 12 is our profit and loss previous year comparison, January through April. Again, you can see there the revenue is up almost 500,000 over last year at the same time. And expenses are up just 4.95% from last year. Any questions on any of that? The last page there is our capital expenses year to date as of 4/30. So we're just at 66,000. We do have, I don't know if you want to talk about that, Eric. We did get the bill already for one of our new ambulances. So I don't know when we anticipate actually getting that ambulance.
Still looking at the end of this month, being in service in early July, I believe.
June, end of June.
Yeah, sorry, it's still May. Sorry, jumping ahead, yes. I anticipate going out there probably in the next 3 weeks to do our final inspection on it and then having it come back and get the service a couple weeks after that. So a little over a month should be here in service.
Pages 14 through 20, that's last month's billing report for EMS. Everything's staying pretty steady there. Any questions on any of that? The main information is just on page 15 that shows you the payer mix, net collection percentages, cash per trip, that kind of stuff. The rest of those pages are just the details that make up that summary page. Page 21 is the bank balances as of May 19th versus April 21st on the top half. So we're up about 250,000 over a month's time there, and then year over year, you can see that the total current assets are up about 1.4 million. Page 22, there's our cash reserve analysis. So that's what we were talking about just a little bit ago. In all of our accounts, our month's cash reserve is 6.79 currently, and just in our general checking account, we're at 5.31 months cash on hand. So the 6.79 months takes into consideration what we have budgeted for the building. So that's why I think we'll be fine to go ahead and renew that, or not renew it, but to invest that money again for 12 months. Any questions on any of those? Pages 23 through 26, check register. I did highlight a couple items there on page 25. Towards the top, that first one that's highlighted, that was our GEMT payout, $248,238.47. So that will net with the amount we paid out to GEMT for the non-federal share. And then that other one I highlighted was our sales tax at $249,464.73. Anybody have any questions on any of the transactions?
GEMT.
Ground Emergency Medical Transportation.
Okay.
But it's basically our Medicaid cost report is basically what it is. Page 27 is current bills, and the details are on pages 28 through 30. Anybody have any questions on any of those? That is the general report.
Yes, I did.
Okay, go ahead.
Zeller's Fire Ice Heating and Cooling, outdoor unit wired and reverse rewired.
That's what it said on the bill.
So Zeller's fixed it. I want to know who wired it backwards.
That would be the same people.
Same
probably.
people. So they
I'm
made a
guessing.
mistake and we paid them to fix it.
I'm guessing. I'm not sure that that was the reason because they came back a few more times. It still wasn't working after that was done. They came back, I think, did they come back 2 or 3 times after that? Yeah. So I think they've got it
Is it
fixed
working
now.
yet?
Yeah,
Did we pay them on the second and third time
we
too?
haven't seen the invoices on those yet.
I know when I go back, I don't charge again. Sorry.
I do have a general question, I think. Is there a place, Jamie, where I could see the total amount that we've contributed to the Windsor Ambulance District? And
No, I mean, we
Then
don't
how
really
much-
contribute anything.
how
to
much
it.
they contributed back?
I can give you a report on that, but there's not gonna be anything that in the financials to say
Yeah.
anything.
No, I think it'd be good to see what the total was, a running total, because now we're getting some money back. And to see how it's chipping away from that amount that we use.
There's no way to disaggregate the income and expenses from that heat map of trips and stuff. There'd be no way that,
We talked
I know
about
we
that
get-
last time.
we charge off 20% of our depreciation to Windsor District as an expense. Do we
No,
get 20% of our revenue from them?
the depreciation is not 20% because it's just the two ambulances.
Right.
And just a couple other equipment items that are in there, so the depreciation is not 20%. Revenue wise, probably not. I'd have to, I mean, it's varied. Now it might be 20% because we're getting more money. But it wasn't in the past that we get 20%. If you're talking just on the reimbursements, insurance and patient payments and that kind of thing.
Yeah, can we disaggregate it down to dollars instead of percentages?
Well, it's in there, it's dollars.
Yeah, but the Windsor did.
Yeah, it's in the financials as dollars.
I looked at that, and I'm with John, I can't sort out
So there's no Windsor
how
here, we
much
just
of
do it.
payroll is from Windsor in dollars, how much of it?
So that would be in the financials that were for last quarter. So we only do that quarterly. So there is no
Okay.
Windsor breakout in this packet.
Right,
It's just each quarter we do that.
okay.
So if you look at your last packet, which I have over here.
Well, I know what John's
broke
aiming
out.
at. It's the critics that we're still losing money with Windsor, and we need to be able to prove to them that we're not. And
Well, it may be a year before the taxes,
Yes.
the sales tax starts hitting.
Well-
cents.
so it'd be nice to know where we are now, so that when we
Yeah.
get there, we could say, see,
So last year, we had more revenue than expenses for Windsor last year in 2021.
And so we knew it for last year. How do we go back and show it for the history of it?
So you have to do it year by year because that's just how accounting works. You gotta do it year by
Yeah.
year. Yeah, there's no place that accumulates.
You know, but if you can give me year by year, I can add them together.
to reconstruct that, because originally we were bleeding. And now we're not.
Well,
That's what I'm told. But
so, I mean, we discussed this and we discussed this and
I
we
know.
discussed it a lot, but there's a lot of things to look at when you look at that. They're providing the building there. They're providing a subsidy. Do you want to talk about how the calls would work? I mean, the mutual aid position that we would be in
Yeah,
without
and
that
that's-
revenue.
we talked about that.
Yeah, I think
The question is the dollar flow, that's,
But that's what it's not a definite number. There is no definite number for that because there's a lot of things that go both ways. That providing service at Windsor is providing service in Pettis County as well as Windsor District. So, there's not a definite number. I can give you the financials that show you what we broke out.
Yeah,
But
that's-
there's
that's
not really
the
a-
hard numbers we have.
But and we can only go back, I think 2018 was the first year we were able to do that. So we can't go back to the
but that
beginning.
would allow us to look at a trend line then.
Because I think we're paying, it's not costing us like it did at the beginning. Because they had a debt to pay, so they weren't able to give us anything, if I remember.
We've always had a contract where we received a payment. It was, I'd have to look back at that. It was a much smaller amount than we're getting now. But we've always received a payment on the contract.
That payment was.
Yeah.
On top of that, it wasn't part of the contract.
Right, that was separate. Yeah, so yeah, I can provide you what we've got.
It'd just be nice to have something to show folks to say, look, that's That was then, this is now, and it's a good deal for Pettis County. If it is.
Because if we didn't have that, we would probably need to have a station down at Greenridge or somewhere around in there. Take care of that section.
Yeah, see it. How do you prove something, the money saving something that didn't happen?
Yeah.
Well, and
Well, it wouldn't be subsidized for one thing, you know.
yeah, and you know, the biggest expense we have here, Windsor, TT, anywhere is our staff. So if we're gonna have the staff regardless, you know, that's a big expense we're gonna have. Doesn't matter where they're housed, we're still gonna have that expense, so. But yeah, I can get to that. Any other questions?
If there are no other questions, I'll take a motion to approve payment of outstanding bills.
So move.
All in favor, say aye. All opposed, same sign. We'll move on to unfinished business, the Raynor.
I believe this is in here. Last time we spoke about it, we didn't have the actual estimate numbers in here. So let's see, if I'm not mistaken. This is the door at Station 2. It's the big expensive glass section. It's one section on the bottom that needs to be replaced. It's definitely needs to be replaced soon. Glass is waiting for it to pop out. Nonetheless, this is the actual figure.
Yes.
Yeah. Too much for me to approve. Or approve.
I'll take a motion to approve the repair of that door. Repair.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Did Raynor install that door originally?
Yeah.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. We'll move to item C, which Roy has some.
So we budgeted for this year $4,000 for beds. That paid for, so it's notes. I went out and spoke with Dalton about 30 weeks today. Actually, I've talked to him off the past month or so. Something to take care of here. So I went around to the station and I counted up. In all honesty, we need to get about 15 beds. So he quoted me 5,200 for 13 beds. And comparably, you know, whether you go to Graphic Furniture Mart or someplace else, it's actually cheaper. And so it's a big plus as well. What I'd like to do is there are some things in the capital expenses that are not going to be achieved this year, whether because of price hikes and or whatever it may be. I'd like to allocate an additional 2,200 to the 4,000 budget to go ahead and make that purchase. Kind of moving things around.
Can you tell me how you evaluated whether or not we needed any bed? It seems odd that 13 of them needed to be replaced. Were they needed to be replaced for a while?
It needed to be replaced.
Springs or something?
Springs, box springs, mainly it comes down to the crews complaining of discomfort after laying on. I can attest to it. I've got condition of mattress. Several of our mattresses are ripped. Mind you, some of these mattresses were bought with cheap money, so well.
Okay.
And that's what I use to evaluate it, and basically, once it's been, what we've done throughout the years is it will cycle. Those that are still in decent shape, like on top runs, people don't sleep on a lot, but those that we're at a point where it's on the cycle. So that's why, that's actually the basically recommendation. This is what, figure out.
How many beds are there total? So close to half.
Roughly, I'm not going to hold that number, but
Couple downstairs.
yeah, that's, I counted that in all the stations, so basically, you're looking.
So we're looking at twin size mattress and box spring at $500 a set.
And the other ones that are still being used, how much more life do they have?
A little bit, I mean, I think that,
Another year?
yeah, I think that it's just gonna be something that we have to look at every year.
Yeah, we probably ought to be
Try to
replacing
figure out.
5 a year or something, or 6 a year, so we don't have that big.
Right,
It's another one of those things, that, you know, you have a new district, buy all the stuff at once, put it all there, it all wears out at once too, so we're getting finally to the stage where I think after.
Are
this-
they numbered or anything, so we know which ones were the oldest?
no,
Yeah, so maybe we need to get a magic marker. Put it
Yeah.
down.
We know by brand and type when we buy them, so. that's-
So the things that we're not probably gonna do this year is the hand receivers over here. The price went up drastically for that. And then the treadmill. We had somebody fix it and it's been working fine, so we're probably not gonna need to replace that treadmill either, so.
And did you say how long these new beds were supposed to last?
they have a 10-year warranty,
10 years.
so, I mean.
That's a lot better than the ones we had. though.
Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, some of these beds we have, we've been 13, 14, 15, so I mean, they live there long.
The good ones, those 5 were brand new.
Do those treadmill and the receivers and those roughly account for the.
Oh, it's well above, so the treadmill was 5,500, the hand receivers were 2,000, and we already had 4,000 budgeted for the beds, so, yeah, there's plenty of room there.
I'd make a motion that we purchase those 13 beds.
Do we have a second? Is there any further discussion?
Thank you, guys.
If not, all in favor, say aye. All opposed, same sign. Take the motion, to go into closed session pursuant to RSMo 610.021, section 1.
So move.
All in favor?
Renner,
Yes.
Scott?
Yep.